Hey, it's Greg, and I have a bit of a fun video today. Um, I came up with a list of things that I have always kind of had trouble understanding about people that can use two hands of how they do certain things. As I've mentioned in other videos, I have only ever been able to use this hand, and I'm 21 currently. So after over 20 years of not being able to use my right hand, there are bound to be at least a few things that I look at and see people with two hands doing and think, how do you do that? And so I have four of those here, and then I'm going to actually talk about things that I would do if I could suddenly use two hands. And if anybody wants to give me an answer to any of these, feel free to, although they're probably things that if you've used two hands your whole life, you probably haven't even thought much about, if at all. So the first one is, how do people type with two hands and not get confused, like on a keyboard or texting? I would think that, how do you keep track of that? I mean, just one hand on one side of the keyboard, one side over here. It's how do you not get your words all jumbled up? I mean, it seems to me it would seem like you're writing something and you have a pencil in each hand, and every other letter you alternate back and forth with each hand. And I mean, I know that with that and the other three things I'll mention, that it's kind of like, oh well, you just do it, you get used to it, you learn it that way. But it seems kind of weird to me that people would you know not get that messed up when they're typing their words. And the second one is, um, how do people tie their shoes two handed and not constantly, you know, hit their hands together, in such a, smaller space? I would think, when you're tying the knot or doing the loops or whatever, that your hands would constantly be hitting each other. If you're doing it one handed, it's just this shoe on the ground stationary. You just have your one hand over it. But I mean, just I have no idea. But okay, the third one is, how do people play instruments like piano and guitar, two handed and not get all the sounds mixed up? I know that if you're playing a guitar, you strum with one hand and you do that thing up high. I'm not a very musical person, so I don't know the technical terms for all this stuff. I'm sure that shows. How do you do that and not get all the sounds mixed up? Or pianos, I know each key makes a sound, and you got one hand over here, one hand over here, and sometimes comes to the middle. And how do you balance the sounds, and how do you not get all those sounds mixed up? And it's just something that kind of confuses me, and it kind of amazes me to see people that can do that. And the last one is, why don't people do things one handed more, since you really don't need two hands for a lot of stuff? I mean, I've shown in my videos you can tie your shoe with one hand, you can fix your hair with one hand, you can do all sorts of things one handed. So why don't more people do it? Especially since so many people either break their arm or hand at some point in life and have to do some things one handed, or they at least have a friend or a family member that they have to see do one handed stuff. So, why don't more two handed people get the idea to do that and, have their other hand free to, drink a pop while they're tying their shoe or something like that? So, it kind of confuses me sometimes of why don't more people get that idea. All right, so now I am actually going to talk about things I would do if I could use both hands. And, if somehow I woke up one morning and the good Lord, healed my hand, looked and functioned just like this one, what sort of things would I do? First one is throw a baseball back and forth, um, between my hands. I think that's really neat. Somebody throws it, catches it with this hand, throws it back, and all that. I mean, I can kind of throw a bouncy ball and have it bounce off my palm and catch it, but it's just not the same. Another one is hold like a water or a pop in one hand and hold like a candy bar in the other hand. I feel like that's really neat. It looks neat just to, somebody takes a drink with one hand, takes a bite of their snack with the other one. They don't have to sit them down. They can just do that. I feel like that would be neat. Go skiing. You got those ski sticks or whatever they're called, and one in each hand. You push yourself along and all that. I feel like that would be neat to do. Maybe there's some way where you can like have one big ski stick or whatever it's called again. And like canoe, maybe there's that, but I've never tried it. But it'd be neat to go skiing if I could use both hands. Push a sharp shopping cart with two hands. I kind of have to do this, which feels weird. So this would be really neat. Um, Learn how to tie my shoes at the same time since I can already do it one-handed. Feel like that'd be neat to tie the left with the left hand, tie the right with the right hand. Swing a baseball bat with two hands. Peel an orange by hold the orange with one hand and peel it with the other. Rip a sheet of paper by grabbing one side and grabbing the other, and just rather than lay it against myself and do that, which is what I do now. Take a drink of something while typing on a keyboard. So type left-handed. Have a bottle of water and just drink while I'm doing that, and not have to stop to do that. And the last one is, I think it'd be neat to vacuum the floor using a vacuum cleaner in each hand. Have two. I feel like that would be a really neat thing to try at least once. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video that was a little different. Again, if you have any answers to these questions for two-handed people, feel free to let me know. Or if you have a recommendation for a future video, let me know that too. And I'll see you in the next one.